David Duke, top of the arc. Here's Pip, guarded by Gillespie. Steps back, spins, fires! Woo! Pip Gates!
They get another crack. They'll go to their senior. And he lays it in. Two big buckets by Alpha Diallo.
He crushed it. It's a grand slam.
Down by 3. 5 seconds. Reeves for the tie. He got it.
Welcome back, and thanks for tuning in. We have a very special guest today. You know how sometimes when you are watching a game or you're playing a game and you just see somebody that's playing on a different level? Well, for us, that was our guest today, Mason Feole, when we played with him in high school. And Mason is now in the Padres organization right now, pursuing his dream of becoming a professional baseball player. He already is a professional baseball player. So, Mason, thanks for taking the time today.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for having me. It's going to be fun to just kind of chat with you guys with your new thing starting up. But more importantly for me, like catching up with old teammates and old friends. So, yeah, thanks for having me and welcoming me on.
For sure.
So
one thing that just right off the bat, you probably don't even know that this happened, but my first time playing with you, because we played against each other, you know, Riverdale, you were on the
Yep.
Riverdale, I played Riptides, and it seemed like we were always playing against each other. But this is kind of, you know, I talked about when we knew that, you know, you were playing on a different level than everybody else. My first varsity practice, we were doing that four corners drill, and I had Ryan Smith behind me. He said, "Hey, do you want to switch places with me in line?" And I said, "No, like, what are you talking about?" So he just starts laughing. So next thing I know, the ball comes around, and you were the one feeding me the ball. So I turn, and the next thing I know, I swear this is how it happened. The ball caught my glove. I didn't catch the ball. The ball caught my glove. I don't know how it stayed on my hand, and I just kind of looked, and I just had like a holy crap moment. Like, this is, you know, whatever, you know, different level stuff going on right now. But yeah, so that's again, just for me, like when I knew that, you know, you were playing on a different level. But for you, like, when did you kind of realize, like, hey, this might be something that, you know, this is a realistic thing for me?
I don't want to say high school because I feel like there was a lot of question marks for me in high school early on. Like, I wanted to play varsity baseball first and foremost, like getting to Prout. Like, as you know, like that was the grind to like try to make that varsity team and impress Coach Mike. So for me, it was like initially that. And then I'd say like after I knew where I was going to college, the idea that like maybe possibly one day I would have the opportunity to play professional baseball kind of sunk in a little bit. Obviously, like any young kid or like any young ball player, like you dream of having the opportunity. Well, not so much the opportunity as so much making the actual major leagues. But yeah, you know, it was something that I always like in the back of my mind was a very long-term goal. But I knew there was like certain steps that I needed to achieve to get there. So, I mean, it really started with just making that varsity team. And yeah, it's funny that you mentioned like the four corner drill. I was actually thinking about that today. I had a conversation earlier, and I knew when I got to Prout that I wanted to like continue to play baseball just because of how our practices were kind of run. Like, we were playing at a small private school, but our practices were run like we were playing at URI or the Division I program because of Coach Mike. So I guess like talking to Coach Mike and like having someone in his shoes like see a lot of potential in me also kind of drove me a little bit more. You know, it's a little different when you have someone like him pushing for you than like mom and dad. Not that mom and dad can't instill big dreams in you, but to have someone who, you know, played professional ball and played really well in college ball, was an All-American, like really be in your corner and push you was really good for me. So definitely like freshman year of high school was the kind of the beginning of me kind of realizing, hey, maybe if I really work at this, I could probably do something a little bit bigger than this.
For sure.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, like, oh, sorry, Matt, go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right. I mean, like, obviously, high school, just blowing things by everyone, like blowing smoke up everyone's butt and all that. Like, literally, you're Cy Young every 4 years in high school, you know, MVP a couple of times. And then, obviously, you know, my freshman year leading us to a trip to McCoy, which was unbelievable. And the whole time, you know, you're coming back from an injury at that point and still just dominating. And then every game there's like buzz that, there's going to be pro scouts there and everything, or college scouts, pro scouts, whatever it is. I mean, every other week it seems like we were looking at the paper like, oh, another Mason Feole, maybe he's going to the Giants, maybe he's going to the Blue Jays, who knows? Every week is something like that. So like, how much did stuff like that kind of like, did that like motivate you in high school? Was it nerve wracking? Like, just how was like playing, like how did that affect you in high school, I guess is what I'm trying to ask.
Yeah, definitely was like a high school kid, getting that sort of attention. Like any high school kid, like you're lying if you say you don't like think about it or that it's not like in your face, because it is.
Right.
But for me, like especially like I think I was lucky to go through like the injury and all that stuff. I think for me, like college was definitely the best route. Like I'm really thankful to God that he put me in a position where I was able to go to UConn and learn a ton there about myself. So it's definitely like in your face, and like we all talked about it and stuff like that. But for me, like being hurt and kind of knowing deep down, like probably not going to be a professional right out of high school, it was good because I was able to kind of take a step back and not put so much pressure on myself about like maybe I'll get drafted. I was
Right.
able to, I believe, like be a good captain for the younger guys, and and just go out every game and just try to win rather than worrying about what Bill Koch or someone's writing about you in the paper. I mean, and that was my mindset like throughout the whole 4 years, and even like during the recruiting process. I didn't want my like personal career or whatever was going on with me personally in the game to really affect how we were playing. My focus always, and I'll take this to my grave, was to win every game that we played. And that's what I love to do. And I personally believe like that's why I've been able to achieve so much personally, because I've always been one to care about winning the games rather than what my draft ranking or what my PBR status said in high school and college,
Right. Yeah, for
Definitely.
sure. And then,
So
I mean, obviously it's like, you have that mindset of you must win every game, but it's also you brought to the table. This isn't a question, just me speaking, but you brought to the table like, hey, we're going to treat every other team with respect. That we're playing a game, and it's a game that's meant to be respected, and we're going to play it hard. We're going to play to win, and we're going to play it the right way. And that mindset, I think, and is what really drove our team and like put the team together that year that we went almost all the way. That's like what really held us together and what we tried to emulate when you left. So, I mean, that's just a testament to you right there.
Yeah, I mean, I think like talking about Prout and Coach Mike alone, like I think that's just a testament to like how we should continue to carry the program. I really do think that you guys and myself and a lot of the guys we played with, we really did leave the Prout baseball program much better than when we found it. And obviously that was a tall task to achieve after when we showed up. They had been to a bunch of McCoys and stuff like that. But I do think our team showed that, like, it wasn't just a 4-year trip to
Right.
McCoy before we got there, but we were able to keep like that winning tradition. And also like, regardless of if guys on our team like moved on to play baseball, there's a lot of guys that played on those teams that are doing awesome things, like you guys and other guys we played with, so being a part of that program and understanding like how to be competitive, how to work together really well. And, our practices were harder than a lot of our games too.
yeah,
So like the opportunity to go and work under someone that was really going to push us every day, I think really just instilled really good values in us as human beings and as college students and workers in the future. Like say what you will, like, okay, high school can not really teach much, or it can teach a lot, but I do think we benefited a lot from the program on personal levels, but also I do think that our teams were really instrumental in moving that program forward.
definitely. So speaking of moving forward, now your senior year, coming back from an injury, what was your recruiting process like? What led you to UConn? What kind of drew you into that program there?
I just knew, man. They had been on me like earlier in the fall of my junior year and didn't really like me too much. Coach Mike actually had to like beg our UConn coaches to come see me again during that junior spring. And, I got on campus and met Coach Penders and Coach Mack and just saw what like UConn baseball was about. And it wasn't hard for a 15-year-old kid, 16-year-old kid walking around UConn's campus with giant pictures of Ray Allen everywhere. And you go to the baseball field and it's not much, but we had George Springer and Ncaa and Matt Barnes, so the history of the program and just the way I saw the program was going to be run, how it was just so blue collar and it was about winning games. And, you get an opportunity to play in a really good conference and travel all over the country. And it meant a lot to be considered to possibly be a part of that. I looked at the Boston College route and the Bryant route, and those would have been great fits too. But for me, the history of UConn Husky baseball and just UConn itself stick out for me a little differently. I remember going my first official visit to UConn, and I sat down in Coach Pender's office, and I felt like I was sitting across from Joe Torre. And at the time, like a big Yankee fan, I'm like, okay, this is the type of program, type of franchise that I want to be a part of. So I knew kind of from the second I stepped foot on campus that that's where I wanted to go. And I was lucky enough that they made me a pretty good offer, and I couldn't say no.
Yeah, and the rest is history. So you mentioned playing in a good conference. I don't even know if I ever mentioned this to you, but I actually worked for the American over the summer last year. And one of my assignments was to watch your championship game against, I think it was Cincinnati last year, and it was like a 6-hour game.
That was a tough one, man. I think we got absolutely blown out. We just kind of ran out of gas at the end of the tournament.
Yeah. No, that was I mean, it was just kind of funny because I was sitting down, and next thing I know, I'm watching that game, and I had to watch the whole broadcast, and they were having me write up anything that they mentioned about the facilities. And, 6 hours in, they're for the 30th time, they're talking about how nice the weather is down in Florida.
Yep.
But at UConn, I mean, you did a ton of great stuff. You set program records there. I mean, can you kind of talk about how you went about your business once you got to UConn and what it was like playing under Coach Penders?
It was difficult at first. I mean, like going from playing the level of baseball that we played in high school, it was definitely a big jump. Like I didn't stand out as much as I felt like I stood out in high school. And I had that like transition period where I went off and played in the Futures League, but getting to campus on the fall and just like being so wide-eyed freshman, one, maturity level of just being a freshman, and two, now having to compete against guys that are older than me and have experience of winning an AAC championship the year prior, it was a ton of nerves and a ton of like anxiety to like get out there and try to prove yourself. Because as a freshman, like that's all you want to do is you want to show the coaches that they didn't make a mistake giving you an opportunity, and you want to try to solidify yourself as a part of that team. You want to be on that 26-man travel roster when you head down to I think we went to Port St. Lucie my freshman year, but wherever you're going in February. So it was so difficult at first. Like I fell flat in my face as soon as I walked onto campus in the fall. Like struggling with holding runners on, struggling with balks and picks, and learning the bunt defenses and the sign systems and all that stuff. Typical stuff that can really speed up the game as a freshman. So I fell flat on my face during the fall, had a pretty good preseason, and then, I knew there was a huge question mark on me from like the rest of the team. Like they knew that I could throw the ball. Like I had good stuff, and the pitch mix was there to compete at the Division I level and in our conference, but maybe was the mental side of it not ready. And so there was a huge question mark on if I was going to be able to like handle the pressure and not panic and stuff like that. So for me, like I kind of went to bed every night from the beginning of my freshman year to the night before my first collegiate start, knowing that like once I got in a game against another Jersey, like all of those nerves, all that anxiety, all of that pressure I was feeling about like solidifying a spot or a role or just being out there for the first time would just go away. Once there's another uniform in the other batter's box, it was going to be really easy for me to compete. And lucky enough, I was kind of able to hold myself true and prove myself right on that. I kind of started out pretty good from the gate, and started on the weekend, my first weekend at UConn, and I was lucky enough. I feel like after that point, I couldn't be a freshman anymore. We had a really good rotation with Tim Cate and Wills Montgomery, and it was just time to take the ball and compete, because I wasn't going to throw away Sundays learning in my freshman year.
Right.
I had to really anchor down and solidify myself. So I'd say my freshman year really ended. The second play ball was set in Port St. Lucie against UMass Lowell, and I really had to grow up fast, because I did feel like I had to be a big part of that rotation. And obviously there is learning and a lot of failure that year, but it ended up working out in my favor, I think. And unfortunately, we didn't end up making the tournament. We were the 65th team out that year, and that's something we all won't ever forget. But yeah, it was a hard adjustment, but a good one.
Yeah, I mean, you got to expect it's got to be a hard adjustment going from a small Division II high school in Rhode Island to a Division I program. And I mean, people don't really necessarily, when you think of UConn, you think of like women's basketball or something, but the baseball program is definitely no joke. And Coach Penders has one of the best college baseball coach reputations. Like if you think of like me going to prospect camps when I was younger, like, you see UConn, you're like, oh, Coach Penders, So, I mean, it's understandable why you would have all the nerves, but I think, like you said earlier, just, must-win attitude, and then all the, just playing it as a game, respecting the game, that testifies to why you were able to, just once you see that uniform, lock in and everything just goes away. And then obviously it ended up working out for you because you ended up winning the conference rookie pitcher of the year, right?
Yeah, it was kind of unexpected. When I got to campus, I looked up to Tim Cate, who was just a year older than me, but he had just come off pitching with Team USA, and he won that award. And I wasn't ever thinking about winning that award, honestly. I really didn't even think it existed. I just wanted to anchor myself in the rotation. But
Right.
yeah, I remember that was a very humbling experience. Like, we were in Clearwater, awards get announced, and I'm a 18-year-old freshman, 18-year-old freshman, and I go out the day after I get the award, and I get shelled by Houston. and we get pulled aside, and at that point we thought we were going to be able to pitch again, in the regional. Obviously we didn't end up getting there. The committee didn't think we did enough, but I remember that being a humbling experience, because you think you achieved something and you get humbled really fast. And that's just the game of baseball. You can have a really good day and the next day can be pretty tough. So that was another like small learning thing that I was able to kind of pick up that year.
For sure. So just, you mentioned that year and being the 65th team out. What is that experience like, kind of sitting there, watching the selection show? Can you kind of take us into that a little bit? What's it like in that room?
It was just sad. I mean, to look around and, like, especially as a freshman, you build so many connections with the seniors or the guys that are going to get drafted. You talk about leadership, the type of guys that we had in leadership roles in that 2017 Huskies team was really special. We had Ryan Redu, who's a cancer survivor the year before, pitching in his redshirt senior year, who really took me under his wing. We had Wills Montgomery, 6th rounder with the Los Angeles Dodgers, still pitching well in the organization, was an all-star last year, who, really taught me how to be a competitor out there and just not take every start for granted, and really how to get my body and mind right in between starts and understand what to do on the road and travel. Alex Lefebvre, unbelievable catcher for us. The list goes on, the Willie Yons, the Keith Krugers. The list goes on. We had just so many guys in leadership roles that were truly great team captains and great older guys for my class. So to get so close to them and to travel, we traveled so much that year. We were all around the country, and West Coast to East Coast to down south to Texas a few times, so we got real close. And when you're in a room with 35 guys who you know how much work you've put in since the summer, it's really tough when you leave it up to a committee and the committee tells you didn't do enough. And I think that's something everyone in that room, from the news reporters to our coaching staff to our media guys to our trainers to our strength coaches, to whoever was a part of that 2017 Huskies team, that left a taste in our mouth that we're never gonna forget what it felt like to be told we didn't do enough. So that honestly for me is just added motivation, to do. The following year, our motto is one more thing, one more time. And I think that's something that our entire team that year will always take with them, don't leave any stones unturned, and don't leave it up for someone else to decide your fate. You have to go out and you have to prove it yourself. And if it takes, that one extra rep or that one extra hour here and there, it really matters. You don't do things halfway, and you never want to feel like you did things halfway. So as Coach Bender says, make sure all the hay's in the barn before it's ready to go. And you won't be sitting in that room crying with 35 other guys because their baseball careers are over or their time at UConn's done. And it wasn't done on a field. It was done in a boardroom on a pull down whiteboard screen with a projector,
Right.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, you guys took that to heart, and the next year you were in the tournament, and definitely kind of took that experience and ran with it, it seems like. One question, you mentioned kind of the adjustment of getting ready between stars, getting your mind and body ready. What is that like for a college pitcher? Coming out of high school, you're pitching once a week, maybe twice a week, depending on how the games fall. The farthest you're going to go is a 45-minute bus ride. Now you're flying across the country, most weekends, and you're all over the place, staying in hotels, eating on the road. Can you kind of take us into that a little bit and the adjustments you had to make, both mentally and physically with now, okay, I'm going to pitch once a week. This is my day, and here's how I'm going to go about my business?
Yeah, for sure. And I was in an awesome position because I knew when I was going to pitch, like the bullpen guys or guys that don't know if they're going to be up, it's a totally different story. But I think the preparation, from day to day, for me was I had to be diligent with how I was eating and sleeping. And even honestly, we're in school, so I had to be making sure that I was getting my work done at times that it wasn't going to affect, maybe getting sleep a night before a start. So the ability to fight procrastination and be super diligent on the road too, because we're given a pretty good amount of money as a per diem to, eat healthy. And you can either go to McDonald's for 4 times in the weekend, and eat like crap and save some money for when you get back to campus, or you can look for the healthy option and get a good meal in you every one of those days. We were given so many resources on the road, between staying in nice hotels close to the field, staying in hotels that had weight rooms, staying in hotels that had pools, or the ability to go to a Ally Fitness or a Planet Fitness or whatever it was to get your work in, away from the field. It was definitely a big adjustment, as you said, flying all over the place. And I think the number one thing outside of nutrition and outside of making sure you're doing your due diligence away from the field, the stuff that you have to do to recover. But I think sleep was the main thing. If you get a bad night of sleep before a flight, it's almost like a domino effect the next few days. So the sleep on a Tuesday can really affect how you sleep on a Thursday night before a Friday start, or Friday night sleep before a Saturday night start. And it's a little different depending on what day of the weekend you're pitching. My freshman year, I was pitching predominantly on Sundays, so maybe I could slack off a little bit and not get a great night of sleep the night before a plane flight. And you have Friday and Saturday to make up for it. But once you kind of get pushed up and you're starting on a Friday, if you don't get a good night's sleep and you can't get to bed the night before, it's a tough go. And I really do think sleep is one of the most important and probably one of the most overlooked things in our game. You know, we play so many games in professional ball. Obviously, college is a little shortened of a season. You have a little bit more time to recover. But the optimization of being able to get in bed and get a good 8 to 10, 12 hours a night is unbelievably ideal, just to be able to let the body recover and to be primed and ready to go.
Yeah, makes sense. And then you mentioned being the Sunday starter, then getting pushed to, Friday or Saturday. And the college role, that's, being like the weekend starter is a pretty big deal. When you get moved to that role, is it like an honor to you, or is it just like, just new day, just another day of pitching? Like,
Yeah, every game matters so much, especially for us. Like if you're starting on a Tuesday against Hartford or URI, it matters just as much, because of RPI and all that stuff. But yeah, no, for me, I never really looked at like what day of the week I was pitching as anything different. Obviously like pitching on Friday nights under the lights at Dunkin' Donuts Park is pretty special. But at the same time, the game on Friday is worth as much as the game on Sunday or the game on Tuesday and Wednesday. So it really didn't affect my approach to the game. It was the same thing. I just wanted to go out and compete and try to put our team in the best position to win. And while, yeah, everyone wants to be the Friday night guy, it's like the college thing. Like you're looked at as the guy, but each game you can't win 2 on a Friday. You can only win 1. So it's the same thing any day.
That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah. No, I hadn't even thought about that. Looking at it like that with the can't win 2 on Friday. So after your freshman year, then you go to the Cape, which is, for anybody that knows baseball, going to the Cape is a huge deal. That's the premier collegiate summer league. What was that experience like? I mean, I'm sure you knew about the Cape League growing up and stuff like that and followed it. And what was that like? How do you get recruited to a Cape League team, and what was it like playing there?
Yeah, so I actually, when I got to campus like 2 weeks after Coach Mack, our pitching coach, came up to me and asked me like where I wanted to play summer ball. And I was like, I mean, I'd love to play in Cape Cod. But I kind of like joked about it, like, because I'm a freshman coming in, like I don't know anything. And I was like, or I'll play like Ocean State. Like I'd love to be home for a summer. And he was like, oh, well, you don't have a choice. You're going to Wareham. It was like the second week. I'd thrown like a couple innings in the fall. But I guess our GM, Andrew Lang, out in Wareham, decided, like, he recruits our guys, and Matt gave him a good rec, and I guess they wanted to have me on. I signed a full contract before even throwing a pitch in for UConn and against another team. So like that kind of added like, all right, the coaches have some pretty high expectations for me. They might be even a little bit higher than myself. Like I didn't think I was going to have the opportunity to pitch in the Cape after my freshman year. But then I get out there, and I think the first day I showed up, Coach Lawler, who is a great from Texas A&M, was our pitching coach out there. And the first day, I think he introduced himself, and then he was like, oh, you're starting tomorrow, in this thick Texas accent. And I'm like, starting tomorrow? Okay. So we ended up going to Hyannis, and it just wasn't a good outing at all. I learned a ton about like how to be ready to go. It'd been like 2 or 3 weeks before I'd pitched because we didn't make the regional. So, it was a little bit of rust to kick off, but like at the time, what I thought was rust was more so the lack of preparation. I go on, next start is okay. Next start after that, fall flat on my face, a rough outing again. And now I'm looking at like a 80 ERA almost halfway through the Cape season. Walking a ton of guys, just really don't feel like myself on the mound. Just feeling like the game's speeding up a ton on me. And there was a big question mark, like, do I even belong out here? So it was a total learning experience, kind of a baptism by fire that first month out in Wareham. I hadn't stepped foot on the Wareham mound either. I'm getting off the bus and just getting loose in Hyannis and getting shelled. So it was a whirlwind to just be thrown into it. And then for like a 2-week stretch, I just didn't pitch. You know, I felt like they just gave up on me. They had the option to send me home, but I'm thankful to Coach Lalo that he kind of stuck with me. Worked with him a few times. You know, I was still throwing my bullpens. It got to the point where like my name was up on the board to like come out of the pen or piggyback, and they would just skip me. Because we were good that year. We were rolling. We were like the number one team in our side of the Cape. So we were trying to win games. So yeah, I was getting skipped for like 2 weeks, and then finally I went into the office and I was just like, hey, like I'm not asking to play, but I want to be on the same page here. Like, when am I going to pitch next? And so he basically like, all right, you're up XYZ days. I get a chance a few times out of the pen, throw really well. Following week, all right, you're back in the rotation. And kind of from there, I had called Coach Mack at UConn, and we talked about stuff, and got back on the horse and pitched pretty well my second half of the Cape, made a few really good starts and kind of ran out of the gas my last one. But it was a big learning experience, you know, to fail in a season and then recover and feel like you kind of come into your own and learn a ton about how to get outs at a high level. Was really big and important. You know, a lot of the things that I learned from failing in that Cape season, I then took further on, and I still like fall back on today. So it was a big learning experience that first summer out in Wareham, not only in the field, but, you know, living on your own and not being with many guys, you know, too. So
Definitely. So baseball aside, you got to spend a summer on the Cape, which is pretty cool. So what was your favorite part about just living out in the Cape, you know, just in this resort kind of destination place for the summer?
You've never been to Wareham, huh?
No.
All right. So nothing against the town of Wareham. Like, I absolutely loved playing there. The community's great, full of unbelievable people, but we're actually one stop short of the actual Cape. So we are before the Bourne Bridge, but it's an awesome town with super friendly people, and, you know, like, they love their gate men. So it was really awesome to be a part of that community, and, you know, to play at Spillane Field. You know, we get made fun of for the gravel in the infield, and you know, it's not the greatest, most glorious spot of the Cape, but to be a part of the league was awesome. But yeah, no, it was fun. I had a few guys from UConn, Sam Nepiarski and John Topa, that were out there with me. And it was cool to meet guys from all over the country. And, you know, we hang out after the game and grab a bite to eat. Had a really awesome roommate, Jake Ncaa, who was a 7th rounder with the Mariners. Actually holds Nova Southeastern's home run record. Beat out JD Martinez the year after I played with him. So we had a good kind of thing going on at our host families. And it was just fun, you know, like playing with guys all over the country and building those relationships. You know, I still have really good friends from that year, that summer. You know, and it's cool now because a lot of them are in affiliate ball, and you know, during spring training we'll grab a bite to eat and see each other during like the strength camps in the winters and stuff like that. So I made a lot of good relationships and connections out in Wareham, and, you know, I can't say enough about how awesome that community and how well that organization really is run, from the media people to the GMs to just you know, everyone out there that loves those gate men.
Awesome.
Right. So then after the Cape, you know, you go into UConn, have a great season, even better than freshman year, and then, you know, next summer, and you get to be on Team USA. So that is an experience I'm sure that you will take with you forever and never forget. How did that come about? And just what was that experience like as a whole?
Yeah, you know, that was definitely a goal of mine going into UConn, like seeing Anthony Kay and Tim Cate, and just knowing UConn's like history with sending guys to play for the national team. So yeah, before that sophomore year, I knew I had a pretty good shot. If I put my name out there, it was going to happen. But yeah, Coach Penders came up to me right before we were leaving for our regional. He was like, "Hey, Coach Palmineri from LSU might be shooting you a text later to test your waters about playing for Team USA." And I was like, "I don't think he has to test my waters very much. I'm in regardless of where we're going or what it's going to cost me." Obviously, it didn't cost me anything, but yeah, that opportunity is something that is extremely humbling. To be a part of something much bigger than yourself. A lot of the times in this game is unbelievable. But to be a part of like USA baseball and just anything that you get to do to support our country and to represent our nation is just extremely special. It was unbelievable experience to, like play against Japan and Chinese Taipei and head over to Cuba and, play internationally. And also extremely humbling playing with some of the players that I had the opportunity to play with, obviously like Adley Rushman and Andrew Vaughn, just for starters. But, it was really special to be a part of. It's something I'll never forget. I've always dreamed of wearing like USA across the chest and being recognized like that. So to be a part of that and just to be a part of what United States baseball stands for was extremely special, and I'm very humbled and thankful to have had that opportunity. I can't thank Coach Palmineri enough for giving a kid from Connecticut, Rhode Island, a shot to play on like such a national level. So it was an unbelievable experience and something I'll never forget.
Definitely. And, he made the right call giving you a shot, too. 11 scoreless innings in 3 appearances, 11 strikeouts, 3 perfect innings against Chinese Taipei. You didn't just play for USA. You dominated in international baseball, which that has to be pretty cool to kind of look back on that and looking back on, you played against some of the world's best teams, playing Chinese Taipei, Japan, Cuba, and you were dominant.
Yeah, I mean, it was easy to go out and compete when we had the type of team that we had. Like I remember looking around the infield and it's like everyone was an All-American. You got like Braden Shoemake at second base and Bryson Stott and Andrew Vaughn's over at first base and Josh Young was at third. My first game I threw to Shea Langoliers, and it was just like this is pretty cool. It was easy to kind of step up to the guys around you and we were playing for so much more than like our personal stat lines. Like we wanted to win every game and just being part of that competitiveness really drove me. And again, like when you're playing on that level, like nerves will come and go, but as soon as play ball is said, it's time to compete, and it's not just about winning baseball games, but it's about really like making a good impression on baseball for our country. When you're wearing that jersey or when you're a part of that team, like on the field, off the field, it's a big responsibility. You have to make sure that you're doing all the right things because we're represented as good baseball players, but also on a level we have to be good people too. So yeah, just to be a part of that, it was easy to be successful because the people around you really pushed you to be, from the coaching staff to my teammates.
It's awesome.
Definitely. So I'm just gonna jump back real quick. What's it like to pitch in an NCAA tournament game? Like that's sick.
Yeah, it was cool. Other than Joe Wainhouse hitting a ball 500 feet off of me, the first regional was pretty cool. You have the lights on you and the camera's rolling and you're on ESPN, and it's just an elevated sensation of like baseball. It's not exactly what you dream of when you play college baseball. Everyone wants to get to the tournament and win in the tournament, but everyone obviously wants to get to Omaha. But playing the first regional and the second in Stillwater, Oklahoma, it was pretty cool being down at Coastal. We had already been there and we knew what it was like. So there was much less feeling out the park and out the area than it was, it was time to go and let's try to win this regional. And we played against Washington who ended up going to the College World Series. I thought we had a pretty good shot. If we were getting out of that regional, we were probably going to have a pretty good chance to win a Super and go to Omaha. And it felt that way. It felt like whoever was going to win that regional was going to have a chance to, move on. But at the end of the day, it was really exciting. After the year prior being the 65th team, being the first team told no, to be one of the first teams on selection day to go to number 16 Coastal was cool. And honestly, like going down there, we had a huge chip on our shoulder because we had the higher RPI and we had more wins than Coastal, and we felt that we deserved to host.
Mm-hmm.
So to go down to Coastal and have that chip on our shoulder, and eventually we got to knock them out on their own turf and end their season, was pretty cool. So yeah, the regionals were fun. Last year was fun too. Obviously, watching Jake Wallace do what he did against Oklahoma State twice. It's really exciting being a part of those games. They're as close to being in Major League Baseball feel as you possibly can get in college. So it was really cool.
Yeah. That's awesome.
For sure. So then, fast forward to your junior year at UConn, another great season, except, this time you don't even know it and you're pitching with a torn UCL, but still going out there and dominating and really just not, you can see it's wearing on you as you go along, but still pitching great. So then all this, the draft talk and everything, just how was that experience pitching with, injured basically the whole season, basically not even knowing it?
Yeah, it was really difficult mentally, even more so physically, because you want to be out there and you want to compete, and your mind and body is pushing you to believe that you're 100%, and you're going to react to not having that success that you're looking for, like you're pitching at 100%. I was told, I thought I was pitching at 100%. I thought I just lost it. So it was a huge weight off my shoulders to know that hey, my elbow wasn't really in the best shape all year. But yeah, no, it was extremely difficult, to get back on the field and to just not feel quite right, but to still want to be out there. It was hard, and I don't really know if there's other words to describe it, but it was mentally exhausting. But again, I had awesome teammates last year that really pushed me hard, and just because I wasn't maybe 2018 Mason on the mound every Friday, they still had my back, and they never gave up on me, and they never let me give in. So it was never a negative response for me, giving up a 5 spot on a Friday, even though there very well could have been. And it was really, I had to look to other ways to kind of try to be a good teammate and, do my part to get us to a regional, and still be a big part of the team, even though I didn't feel like I was pitching to my potential or how I was supposed to pitch. But yeah, no, it was, at the end of the day, it was difficult, something I learned a ton from. Still grateful for, UConn medical staff and my teammates to help me get through it. And like I said, finding out that I had the torn UCL and that I needed surgery was a big weight off my shoulders, because, the whole year I'm just looking for an answer as to, why it doesn't feel good, and, why stuff isn't coming out the same way, and why I'm not as effective. So yeah.
And now you're back to throwing stuff, right? You're pretty far into rehab and throwing baseballs again?
Yep. So I'm back to throwing pens.
Nice.
Just about a week longer than 10 months since surgery. And I feel great. I can't thank
Awesome.
Our medical staff out in Arizona enough, and also Matt Hopkins over at Hops Athletic Performance for really helping me right now, being home. My body and arm feel great, so I'm excited to kind of keep progressing and hopefully face hitters sooner than later.
Awesome. So we appreciate you giving us a ton of time. Let's just talk real fast. We have the draft. Definitely want to talk about that and what the experience is like getting drafted and what it was like going out there in the spring. And then we just have some fun kind of rapid fire questions for the
Cool.
end. And yeah. So the draft, I mean, you got to hear your name called. What is that experience like, going through – you kind of went through it at the end of, your senior year of high school, but how was it different this time around?
It was different because, like, there was a higher percent chance that I knew I was going to get picked. It was definitely a business day. It wasn't like, the NFL draft where you get suited up with your family and stuff like that. And for me, like, the position I was in with the shape of my arm and stuff, it was definitely a real gauntlet of a weekend. My girlfriend flew up from North Carolina, and I was with my parents, luckily, for most of it. But there was a huge question mark on, like, when I was going to go and if a team was going to take a chance on me or if we were going to get a deal done. But to, like, have my support system with me and to be around my family, have the advisors that I have kind of guided me along the way. It was a crazy day. It's not how I planned it, not how I wanted it to go, obviously. But, at the end of the day, if you told 12-year-old Mason or high school Mason that he was going to get a chance to play professional baseball and, money or round didn't matter, at the end of the day, it's an unbelievable thing to hear your name called. And it was just really special, because I felt like I had put so much into it and made so many sacrifices. So hopefully one day hear that. Just to get that opportunity to get that foot in the door is really awesome to me. It's a surreal experience. All the gripe you have from it not going your way kind of goes out the window once you hear your name called.
Gotcha.
And then obviously, sorry, Matt.
No, I was just saying that's got to be, an unbelievable feeling. Just kind of like you said, all the sacrifices. You're one of the hardest probably the hardest working person that I know, through high school, and just watching your work ethic certainly is something that, we all saw that, and everybody's taking that with them in their own kind of way, in their own path. Not everybody gets to play professional baseball, but, I know speaking for Benny and I, like, it's something that we take with us and stuff that we're pursuing right now, and, with school and stuff like that. So it's definitely something that, we were all rooting for you and glad to see that all the hard work and the sacrifices that you made, like you mentioned, watch that all pay off for you at the end.
Yeah, thank you. And that's really humbling that you guys feel that way. And obviously you guys in high school and playing with you, like all of my teammates, you guys especially, because I know that you guys came to practice every day and worked just as hard. And also academically, you guys obviously kill it, like at great schools too. So, like, yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I want you guys to also know that your work ethic and stuff like that also did drive me when we were together and still does now. So, but yeah, no, it's I try to say, like, the stuff about the draft, not like a petty spoiled kid, like, it didn't go my way, but and it was an unbelievable experience, and I'm super lucky to have the opportunity to play professional baseball.
Definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
And then, in the Padres organization, which, obviously baseball is crazy. You never know where you're going to end up. But I mean, if you just stick on the path that you're on now, you could end up, you make it to the majors. This core group of young guys the Padres have, like, I don't see a better team that you'd want to be on right now or be a part of.
Yeah, it's a pretty awesome organization to be around. The young talent is certainly there. And just the direction of the organization is really awesome. I think we're putting together a lot of really cool pieces. So I'm excited to be a part of that and get healthy so I can prove that I want to be a bigger part of that. So right. It's been really cool to be out in Peoria around a lot of the big league guys and around, just the organization as a whole. I was out there from July to just about when we got shut down a couple months after that. So it was cool to be a part of, and I'm excited to play affiliate ball soon and actually pitch in games. But yeah, just to be associated with it is pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm not gonna lie, a little bit selfish. I was kind of hoping when all the Mookie talks are going on, that you might get sent back out here. But yeah, the Padres organization right now. I mean, like Benny said, with all the young talent, like you mentioned too, it's going to be an awesome place to be.
Yeah, it's cool to be around, and like I said, like the direction of our organization and the mindsets that we've taken and adopted, it's pretty cool. You know, we're every guy in our organization is primed to be a hard worker, and really put the most into it. So we got a lot of guys vying for a lot of spots, and there's a lot of talent. But it's good to be surrounded by a lot of good talent. You know, it's how you get better. So again, like it's just cool to be a part of it, and I'm excited to hopefully get the chance to prove that I want to be even a bigger part of it.
Awesome.
All right, so I think we'll head into our more rapid fire type of questions. You don't have to answer rapid fire, you don't, but that's just what we like to call them.
It would be better if you didn't answer in rapid fire. I'm going to be honest, little extra to actually help out the interview, but just kind of some fun miscellaneous stuff to wrap it up.
Yeah, cool.
So, Rhode Island guy, what's your favorite place to eat on Federal Hill?
If I'm obviously pastiche for the dessert,
Yep.
But growing up, we used to love like Cafe Dolce Vita.
Nice.
Right over by the fountain. So that's like the non mainstream answer, I could say.
Yeah,
Nice.
for sure. I mean, pastiche is cheating just because it's all pastries. It's like that's
Yeah.
that's everybody's favorite place.
Yeah.
So if you could pick one player that you've played with or against who you think going forward is going to be the person that you're going to be telling your grandkids that you played with or against this person, who is it?
Yeah, I mean the obvious choice is definitely Adley Rushman.
Yeah.
I think the most non-obvious choice is probably Anthony Prado, who got to play with at UConn.
Yeah.
I mean, there's very few players that I've played with that have like that Mookie Betts type instinct, and like I really do think like he'll have a long career in the major leagues because of that. And there's very few players that can see the game unfold and can really play the way he does it, and it's so natural. Like he rolls out of bed and he's just a phenomenal player. So I'd probably say him.
Gotcha.
So following you on social media and stuff, and just knowing you from the short time we played together and everything, I know you're a huge music guy. Love your music, big classic rock, heavy metal, all that stuff. So first off, what was your walkout song in college, and what do you want it to be going forward?
Oof. So I'm not sure what I want it to be going forward. It's like a day-to-day thing for me. I'm always finding new music or getting something different stuck in my head. My walkout song in college was "Damn That River" by Alice in Chains.
Nice.
And then it was Seek and Destroy for a few starts. But I think something happened with like the media people, and they switched it back to "Damn That River" because I had like pitched well one night. So they kind of stuck with the Alice in Chains.
Right. And then going off that same track, when you're, I don't know if you're a guy that listens to music before you start or anything, but if you do, are you trying to pump yourself up with some like heavy metal, or are you trying to like calm yourself down?
See, like, I think you guys know, like, I'm always a wired guy. Like, I'm pretty like up all the time. So like, I think I need a lot of like tune myself down. So like, honestly, before like starts, I'd listen to a ton of Christian music, like a ton of freaking country and Mercy Me stuff, just stuff to like, take a step back and kind of relax myself a little bit.
Gotcha. So I'm actually pulling up a list right here of stuff that I need to run through. So you've won a ton of awards. You've set a ton of records, both in high school and in college. Gatorade Player of the Year, Rhode Island All-Decade Team, and then at UConn. And if this isn't all of them, which I don't think it is, and I don't name one of them, just name it for me. But, okay, so Rawlings third team All-American, collegiate baseball first team All-American, baseball American third team All-American, Rawlings All-Region first team All-AAC, first team All-New England. Those are the ones that I have right in front of me. Which one of those awards kind of means the most to you?
Honestly, like my first instinct is like none of them because we didn't get a ring for any of those years, even in high school.
Fair, yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
really tough for me. Like obviously like the goal ones, like to get on USA and like to be an All-American, it was huge. But for me, like, you know, I never really looked at like any like accolades or awards that I'd been given and been like, okay, like I haven't really had a chance to like look back in it. I don't think I ever will until I'm like actually done playing.
Mm.
It, Coach Benders used to say, you know, like it's the award's cool, you get in your hand that individual award, but you know, maybe cool for like that 10, 15 seconds you get it, but like after that, like doesn't mean much, you know, and obviously like it does for the resume and stuff like that, and it's really cool to build that. But you know, the higher you climb, the more your ass shows, as Coach Benders likes to say, and you know, the more you do, the bigger target you got on your back, and also I'll take that one step further. The higher you climb, the more of the horizon that shows. So, you know, trying to be a more so process-based mental approach type person, I don't want the result to dictate, you know, how tomorrow's going to go. So while like, you know, achieving a ton has been awesome and I'm very humbled and grateful for that, I can't really pick a favorite one because, you know, at the end of the day, I know my mindset has to be on a team-based type thing.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, that's something I kind of had a feeling you were going to answer the question that way, just knowing you. But I had to ask it anyway, if for no other reason than to just list off all your awards. Also, not to mention setting UConn strikeout records and, you know, Rhode Island strikeout records as well. Ton of memorabilia behind you. What's your favorite piece that you have that's just in frame right now? Actually, your favorite piece
behind me.
Favorite piece in general, and then in frame.
All right. Obviously, like I'm a huge Derek Jeter guy. So I have a Derek Jeter signed picture over here, and upstairs in my room, I have a King Griffey Jr., which is pretty cool.
That's sick.
Behind me, I got Joe D and Yogi Berra, Darren Larson. So I'd probably say like one of those. I have a ton of like huge baseball card collection, stuff like that. A couple Griffey autos and stuff like that. So I'm definitely into like the whole collecting the history of the game too. So yeah, I'd probably say the DJ auto just because they're hard to come by, and you know, my dad gave it to me when I was super young. So
that's sick. That's awesome.
Cool.
One other quick one. Have you brought, you know, any of this stuff? Because obviously you've played all across the country right now. And I have a couple questions kind of going off this, but have you brought any, you know, coffee, milk, Dells, any of that stuff? Are you starting to spread that around the country? You know, get
I'm
people
trying at UConn. I did at UConn. I definitely did. The coaching staff always used to poke fun about they were like a recruiting tactic to like somehow get Dells on the UConn campus. But yeah, you know, like I used to get like poked fun in college for like, you know, how it felt like the second I left Rhode Island, I loved Rhode Island even more, you know, just because you realize how much great stuff from Allie's Donuts to Dell's Lemonade is. But yeah, no, I try to tell everyone how good it is, and you know, like from Cogs to Caserta's Pizza. Obviously, it's tough to bring it across country and stuff like that. I actually my mom shipped me out Dell's cups, like the cups, just to have in my apartment out in Arizona, which is funny. And I didn't even want to use them because I don't want to throw them away. But yeah, I probably annoy people with how much I talk about Rhode Island.
That's awesome. Yeah, Dells is the best. And you know, the whole baseball thing. After that, if you're out in San Diego, man, I feel like that place is just ripe for the picking with Dells.
Oh, it definitely is.
All year long.
True.
You know what's crazy is when we were in Cary for USA, my parents found a Dells card.
No way.
Selling Dells, yeah.
That's unreal.
I guess it's an older couple that moved down to Cary, North Carolina, and they brought it down with them. So in North Carolina, my girlfriend lives there. So when I'm down there, we'll definitely have to be trying to find that cart. They have like a Facebook page and everything. We found it and down there. Wow. It's pretty cool. They were just driving along, and on the side of the road, they see Dells, and obviously you got to stop. So
For sure. That's hilarious. So just one last real quick one on my end. What's the favorite place that you've been to or played at? You know, whether it's a stadium or a city that you've been to or played at.
It was definitely pretty cool playing in Austin, Texas, at the Longhorns place. That was cool. I love playing at Dunkin' Donuts Park. You know, just because we played so many games on the road, and you usually have the fans against you, but to have like 2,000 plus people behind you is a different experience for me ever. Trying to think of other places. Provo, Utah, BYU is pretty cool. Yeah, I'd say that's like my top 3.
Very cool. Very cool.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
All right, I got one more, and I'm mainly just saying this because I want to bring this story up.
Okay.
So, the question is, like, what was your not like the best performing, but it could be, but basically the coolest thing you've ever had yourself do on the baseball field? And I bring this up because I doubt this is even on your list. But in high school, I think we're playing EWG or something, and you're on the mound, and, you know, first swing, you're pitching to a kid who has, like, a Mako, and you hear the bat, like, crack, and you're like, oh, that didn't sound right. Next at bat, the kid gets up, and you know, bust him in with a fastball, and the Mako just saws off and flies. And that was, like, the coolest thing I've ever seen on a baseball field playing for, like, my whole life. I was like, can't believe, you know, Mason just sawed off a guy with a metal bat. So for me, that was it. So for you, what was the coolest thing that you've ever done on a baseball field?
I'd probably say just like pitching in the regionals, or even like our conference tournaments. Just fun to be a part of those games. And luckily we were able to come away with wins in a few of them. So
Right.
I'd say, you know, pitching the big playoff game and just exciting, you know.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Mace, thanks for your time, man. Really appreciate
Thanks
it.
so much.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys for having me. It's always great to catch up.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It was great to catch up, and we wish you the best of luck, and we're rooting for you. You know, we want to see your name climb in the ranks in the minor leagues, and we can't
Thank
wait
you
for
guys.
that.
Same for you guys too.